original weight was 16.6 ounces. That's heavy. Now these, oh my gosh, it's 17.36. That's crazy. They're heavier than the original? Yo, what's good guys? It's Chris from WearTesters.com. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look at these bad boys right here. This is the Nike SHOX BB4. Now real quick before we get into the shoes, I know that a lot of people are not going to give two shits about this. However, I do, so I'm going to just talk about it real quick. They featured the original box. I think that's cool. I think that stuff like this is attention to detail. When you're talking about a retro, especially a Nike retro, y'all know, man, Nike retros tend to suck. But these guys right here and whoever is in charge of retroing the 90s catalog, you're killing it, bro. You're doing a great job. These are fantastic. So not only do we have the original box and all that stuff, but we also have the original tech specs. These things were recreated almost identically to the original. The shape and stuff like that, a little bit different, but the overall materials, the tech specs, like I was saying, everything in there is identical to the original model of the shoe, which I think is dope. Very much like what they did with the Zoom GP. It's not identical as far as the 4-foot zoom goes, but everything else practically, they're killing it. Same thing with the up-tempos. You're doing like all of us old people proud. Now the Nike SHOX BB4 is most well known for being on the feet of Vince Carter during the 2000 Olympic Games when he dunked over, literally over. And that's not an analogy or anything. He legit jumped over a 7-footer. I can't remember the guy's name. All I remember is that he literally wiped his balls off on the top of his head. I remember exactly where I was and what was happening at that time. I was watching the game on a very tiny, like 13-inch TV over at an ex-girlfriend's house.
You told this story.
When?
When we went over the shoe before.
Really?
Yeah.
When did we go over these?
When you said that you were not going to try and play in these.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't remember saying that.
Vince Carter is having quite a year in the shoe community. First the And One Tai Chi, now bringing back the SHOX BB4. Are you as excited about those?
About the SHOX?
Yes.
Hell no, those are bricks.
You're not gonna test them?
Reluctantly I would, but I'm not like, ooh, SHOX, like yay. Anyways, let me finish this in this video. So I'm over at my ex-girlfriend's house and her parents are very Asian, they're very strict. So when I'm in there, I'm on my best behavior. I was just sitting there quietly watching the TV and stuff. I'm watching these games. The screen's a little fuzzy and everything. It was a tube TV, not a flat screen. So this was a little 13-inch. I believe it was black and white if I'm remembering correctly. I'm super quiet. I'm in the living room and all of a sudden I go crazy because I couldn't believe what I saw. I'd never seen anybody do that before. Not in a game at least. It was insane. So the stuff that we would see Vince do, like you know how like when we talk about Michael Jordan, we're like, man, you kind of had to be there. You had to witness it, right? That's exactly what it was like watching Vince play. You can see all the highlights that you want on YouTube and on videos and things like that, but if you were actually in that era growing up, whether you were an adult or a younger kid or a teenager like myself, and you saw the stuff that he was doing, you were blown away by it. Like you couldn't believe that a human could do those things, for one. For two, you couldn't believe that a basketball player was doing those types of things in games against competition. It was nuts. They called it Vinsanity. He was called half man, half amazing. You just had to be there. So we're just gonna go over the tech specs real quick. What these guys feature is a synthetic leather upper. I know that the leather looks really nice. It's got a nice texture to it and all that stuff, especially this like quarter panel. It's got that like weird reptile looking skin to it, raptor skin. But it's all synthetic. The interior of the tongue is vinyl. The tongue itself is also vinyl. The top layer of the tongue where there's some perforations is a weird stretched synthetic leather. So nothing on this shoe is like genuine or anything like that. Again, very similar to the originals. Now the 4-foot features 4-foot Zoom Air, and it's a normal size Zoom Air unit like what you would see in a typical Air Jordan 13 Retro. And then the midsole I find to be very intriguing, the way that the whole shoe's built, because the rear section really has no midsole. The 4-foot really has the midsole. And it's a double ass midsole, meaning that it's inside the upper, and what that actually does is brings your foot closer to the footbed and keeps it secured on there better. They don't do this too often anymore. I think it's because the way to construct this is a little bit more difficult. You need more hands and all that, and they're really trying to cut down costs while manufacturing these shoes. So that's why we see a lot of engineered stuff like knits and mesh and stuff like that, where machines are really the ones putting most of it together until the actual like assembly process. Now in the rear is where we get to the meat of everything, and it's a Nike SHOX unit unit. The SHOX columns themselves are made out of polyurethane. Why? I don't know. I've never understood that ever, even back then. Like when they first came out, I was like, why are they so hard?
That's what she said.
I always thought that the Nike SHOX looked super dope, but they just never felt right. It was always a thing where like I'd try them on and be like, hell nah, man, like I am not doing this. And apparently I said that in a video, I don't remember, because when I got these in, I was like, I kind of want to try playing them. She was like, you said that you would never do it. I'm not saying she's lying, I'm just saying I don't remember. But I do want to try it. So we'll see. Now I do know that the polyurethane columns will eventually break in. They will eventually give you that boing that the marketing provided and stuff. The marketing campaign for the SHOX themselves was fantastic. It was one of the coolest marketing campaigns I've ever seen. However, it's not gonna give you the boing that you might want. It's just going to be a little more forgiving. For somebody like me, I'm not really into stuff like this. I really don't understand how Vince did it.
And how is he doing it now?
Well, I know how he's doing it now because he's older, so he's not moving as much, so his playing time is very limited, so
Okay.
you can get away with it. But it was after this shoe, his actual signature shoes featured full-length SHOX.
I remember those.
Full length, yeah. They were super cool looking, but again, it's like, how do you play in polyurethane columns doing what you do? Now, I've always thought that the way that SHOX are constructed is real interesting. Again, the heel doesn't really have a midsole. It's like this is the heel portion, so if you were to take this off, the shoe kind of looked like a track shoe, which I've always found to be fascinating. And then these guys also have a very nice rubber outsole right here. This is 90s, dude. Like, they don't make stuff like this anymore. They don't make shoes that are durable, that are built to last. These guys have herringbone. It's thick rubber. It's firm. It looks great. It feels great. It'll probably perform great too. We'll see if I actually play in it. Who knows? I might not even last a shoot around in these. They're hella heavy. I don't understand how you would transition, especially nowadays, the way that jumping mechanics is. They've kind of like really like nailed down what you need to do in order to activate those twitch fibers and really elevate yourself. And a lot of times you start off by braking with your heel before you roll into your pop. That's not heel brake friendly. It barely has a curve. It's only got that little thing on there. So if you're not hitting that part, you're gonna hit this part. Feels like maybe you'd roll an ankle. I don't know. Just based off of like what we know nowadays for proper jumping mechanics. And I just think it's so crazy that this was a thing back then. Now, this particular colorway is a tribute colorway to the team that Vince used to play on while wearing these. It was the Toronto Raptors. I actually really like this colorway. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I was like, meh. I'm always like, I like the originals more. But then the more that I saw these, I thought that they were awesome. Now, one more additional tech spec that I almost forgot about that is in the shoe is right here on the medial side, on the inside collar, there is the monkey paw system. Again, they made these almost one for one to the original, which is awesome. So the last time that they retroed this shoe, I can't remember the year. I passed on them though. It was the Olympic colorway. It was like an anniversary type thing. They dropped a bunch of Olympic shoes, including the Air More Up Tempos, the Barclays, and these were part of that whole like pack. And that shoe was basically a stripped down version of the original. They had the SHOX, they had the Zoom, but they didn't have the monkey paw. The materials are crap. So these guys actually have the monkey paw for anybody wondering. And monkey paw is a plastic little thing. They're most known for being on some of the flight models and the Gary Payton shoes, the T-Bugs, if you're familiar with Tim Hardaway's shoes when he was in Miami. And that was right here as well. It's just a plastic thing that kind of looks like that, and it's so that you don't roll over. Now, this was part of the Alpha project. That's what the 5 dot encompass and everything. So anything that you saw from that time frame with those 5 dots was a part of that series. They were designed by Eric Avar. That guy is pretty much a Nike legend. A lot of you guys probably know him from designing a lot of the Kobe models, but he designed stuff like this. He designed the Penny line, some of the Pippins. So the guy has done a lot of cool things that a lot of us OG heads remember fondly. Now, as far as fit is concerned, they do fit true to size for anybody wondering. And also one more thing is that these things have these, or let me just show you. You got the little raptor claw right there. Hey, hey. Nothing?
Me? Are you at me?
Yeah, because your leg was right there and I was like, oh. But anyways, you got the 3M popping right there. It's on both sides. That's kind of a cool touch, I guess. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Again, retail on this colorway is $170. A little expensive in my opinion, but if you are into these things, then maybe it's worth it to you. That pretty much takes care of it. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your support. I will see if I'm interested once putting these on and getting on a court to shoot around, warm up first, if I want to actually run in them. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. And until next time, guys, have a good one. These are crazy, dude. Like, I legit don't know how anybody plays in these, or used to. I don't think anybody really wants to anymore. But you never know. The thing that's so funny though, Vince is still playing these. Like, we thought that he was gonna retire this last season.
I thought this was was going to make him retire.
Well, he wore it a few times throughout the season.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you know, like, and we all thought like, oh, that's cool, like a little tribute, you know, like Nike's like, hey, let's celebrate with the first shoe that you wore with us. He's still like, no, I think I'll stay one more year, you know?
He's like, as long as somebody still wants me.
Hey, it could be worse, man. You could be Jeremy Lin, could be Carmelo, you know, like no offense to those guys, but the fact that Vince Carter's wanted on a team, it speaks volumes for not just his skill set, but also what he brings to the table as far as like veteran leadership. I think that's really cool. But yeah, I always find it funny when you're still in the league and they retro stuff. Like it's one thing if you're LeBron, because I forgot about him that one time that we were talking about this. I can't remember what video it was. I know that he's older, especially seeing how like Dwayne Wade and Carmelo, these are same like guys in the draft class, are gone now. At least we're pretty sure that Carmelo's gone. It's not like official because he's still trying, but you know, whatever. For some reason, I still think of LeBron as like prime LeBron. A lot of us have like a tainted memory of Kobe because the last kind of thing that we remember is the Achilles and then the somewhat of a comeback, but wasn't super successful of a comeback, then retirement. So that's kind of like what we remember of him. But for me, for some reason, even though he's now in LA, like I've seen him go from Cleveland to Miami to Cleveland to now LA, I still think of LeBron as just, he's LeBron. Like he's a big beast, you know?
He's
like
a tank.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. I just see that crying face. That's what I think of when I...
Well, there's a few different funny faces of LeBron's. My favorite's the derp face, where he's like that one's hella funny, dude. Like I love that one. So you know, you can't show that in the video. You gotta place the derp face on my face. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't need my own derp face. You know what I'm saying?
I'll just screenshot it for me.
No, you better not.